In this video, we're going to show you how to install the coolant reservoir in your Ford Explorer located underneath the hood. Now the first thing you want to pay attention to is the current level of the coolant in your reservoir. Now our tank is filled up where it has the cold fill range. There's a little like 1-inch mark right here. Our tank is right there. The engine is cool, has not been run in a while. So at this point here, we're going to set the new reservoir aside. And we want to go ahead and remove this cap. Now we're going to use a tool to go ahead and evacuate the coolant from the tank itself. You can use something as simple as a turkey baster to go ahead and do this. I'm going to use an old oil container here that I just cut the bottom off. And I'm just going to tuck this on the side here. You can use a bucket or some sort of container to get this fluid. So we're just going to use that little reservoir there to go ahead and put this coolant when we pull it out. Now at this point here, we have our reservoir pretty much drained as far as we can get it. Now on the front side of our reservoir, we do have an AC line right here, and it's just attached to the reservoir with a little plastic button. We're going to use our trim tool, get behind that little plastic button retainer, and just gently pry that off. We don't want to break that. And on the back side, we have one of the expansion hoses here. We're going to use a pair of pliers, open up that hose clamp, slide that back. And go ahead and work this off. You can use your pliers, gently grab that, just twist it while you're pulling and work that off. On the bottom front side of the reservoir here, there's a large hose that comes down and it connects to the engine itself. Now we did evacuate as much coolant as possible from this previously, but we want to take precautions. We're going to go ahead and tuck some towels down. You can use some shop rags, anything like that. That way when we disconnect the hose, that will capture that residual fluid or coolant coming out of that hose. And we use a pair of pliers here. I'm going to grab this hose clamp, I'm going to compress it and slide that down. Actually work that hose off with it. On the back side here, we have an 8mm bolt. We're going to use our socket and extension with our 1/4-inch ratchet here. We're going to loosen and remove this here. Let's go ahead and get to the lower one. I want to loosen and remove that as well. Now the lower hose that we removed is filled with coolant. So when we remove this tank, the hose is going to drop down and coolant is going to spill out of it and make a little bit more of a mess. Good little tip, just grab that hose, pull it up, and just put it on the other side of that AC line. That'll hold it up out of the way and keep the level of that tube higher, keeping that coolant in that tube. Now on the back side is just a little retainer button. We're going to grab the coolant reservoir, lift it straight up, and then out. And we're going to take this little button here, I'm going to spin this around, put that into that hole, and slide it down. Your bolt holes should line up. So let's go ahead and start to install our forward bolt. I'm going to get that started a few threads. Once that's started, I'm going to go ahead and install the rearward bolt. With both of those started, I'm going to come back with my ratchet and we'll snug those down. Now you normally don't need such a long extension here. I just chose a long one so you could actually see it being done here. Now we're just supporting plastic here, so it doesn't have to be super tight. Once that bolt bottoms out, just give it a little bit more. You just want to make sure that that is snug. You're going to do the same thing on the front one here. It's a plastic mounting tab. You don't want to over tighten it and crack that. You'll be doing this job a second time. All right, it's bottomed out. A little bit less than a quarter of a turn. Go ahead and grab that lower hose. I want to get that lined up. Get that up in a place, make sure that's fully seated. Go ahead and remove your pads here or towels if you happen to do so. Let's come on up to the top here to our AC line. I want to get that little button lined up and push that in. Go ahead and install the expansion tank hose here, slide that into place. And we'll just move that clamp back. Gently work that back. You don't want to twist it or bend it. You'll break that plastic port off. Make sure that's secure. Now we can go ahead and open up our cap here. I'm going to go ahead and fill this up into that cold level range on the tank itself. Go ahead and use a clean funnel, set that up. You want to make sure that you use the appropriate coolant for this model vehicle. Now we did lose a tiny bit when we popped that hose off, so we're just going to add a little bit more. And once you get to that point there, take a look inside, make sure you're just above that line there. Grab the cap, spin that down, secure it. And you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.